The 2023 Seattle Mariners broke baseball. And I don't just mean by a little bit. I mean what the Seattle Mariners have done so far in 2023 is beyond comprehension. The Mariners currently sit first place in the American League West above the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. Forget the wild card, we're going for the division. But how the heck did we get here, and could anybody have predicted this meteoric of a rise for the Seattle Mariners? Well, the answer is no. Coming out of the month of June, the Mariners were 38-42, 4 games below 500, 4th place in the American League West, and just had lost 15-4 to the Tampa Bay Rays, currently on a 3-game losing streak after losing the series to the Washington Nationals. Since then, the Mariners have gone 36-14. July 1st was the turning point. They followed up losing that series to the Nationals and dropping Game 1 to the Rays with a 4-game winning streak with 2 over the Rays and 2 over the San Francisco Giants. How'd they do that, you may ask? Well, the Mariners went 17-9 in July and are currently 19-5 at the time of recording this in August. On July 19th, the Seattle Mariners were 10 games out of the American League West lead. And then fast forward to August 27th, the Mariners own sole possession of the American League West. I don't think you guys quite understand just how ridiculous the run the Mariners have been on has been. This is the American League West playoff odds, and as you can see, the Mariners at the time of recording this sit at 41.3%. That is their possibility of winning the division. This line right here has been the recent run the Mariners have been on. Obviously, August has been one of their best months, but you can see right here, as Texas began to fall, the Mariners began to rise. The Mariners are 9-1 in their last 10 games. The Rangers are just 1-9, including an 8-game losing streak. The Mariners are the only team in the last 10 games to have an over 500 record. And the last time the Mariners had sole possession of first place in the American League West, Ichiro was leading off in right field, Brett Boone was still playing second base, Randy Wynn was in left, and Dan Wilson was still your catcher. Yeah, all the way back in 2003. The month of August for the Seattle Mariners has been their best ever. In 2001, the Mariners were 20-9 in August. Of course, the Seattle Mariners have a chance to break that record this month. In fact, by the time you're watching this, they may have already done it. In fact, since July 20th, in terms of AL ranks, the Mariners are first at a 25-8 record. Their run differential is first at a +66. Their average is first at a 280. Their home runs is first at a 53, and their ERA is second at a 3.33. So obviously this is coupled with a bit of good luck with the Rangers falling off like we all knew they would. There's no way they were going to be like the 1927 Yankees. Of course, we didn't really expect them to be this bad, but how did they do it? And that is the real question, because on the mound, the Mariners have been the same team pretty much all year in terms of consistency. But realistically, it is what the offense is doing for this team right now. They have one of the best offenses in baseball, which, man, if you would have told me just like 2 months ago that the Mariners were going to have one of the best offenses in baseball, I would have laughed in your face. But it's true, and there are a few key guys for the Mariners. Of course, Dominic Canzone, Josh Rojas have been great for this team. Major upgrade at second base, and Canzone has been a pretty steady force. Ty France has started to figure it out, but honestly, there are 3 or 4 main guys that we really need to talk about here that have stepped up for this offense. First, let's look at John Paul Crawford. JP in July and August, he hit 340 in July in 25 games. He also hit 3 home runs. In August, he's hit 2 home runs, hitting 286. JP Crawford has solidified that leadoff spot once he was moved back there, especially when Julio was struggling. You can see the major difference. He's hitting 308 in the second half compared to 253 in the first half. Then you have Eugenio Suarez, while also providing you some gold glove defense. Gino's hit 237 in July, 283 in August. Gino hit 6 home runs, his most so far this year in a single month in July, and 4 already in August. And again, first half, second half, 227 to 256. And we've been seeing why the Mariners traded for Teoscar Hernandez. In July, he hit a measly 200 with just 1 home run. But in the month of August, he's hitting 356 with 5 bombs in 22 games. Again, first half, second half, he hit 250 in the first half. He's hit 280 thus far in the second half. And finally, of course, former AL Player of the Week and AL Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez. In July, he hit 292 while hitting 4 home runs with 16 runs and 15 RBI. And in August so far, he's hitting 408. With 5 home runs, 15 runs, and 25 RBI. Again, first half to second half, almost a whole 100 points higher, hitting 249 in the first half and 348 in the second half. As a team in July, the Mariners hit 249, 327, 435 in July, and have followed that up so far with a 289, 373, 501 August. Trying to explain the 2023 Seattle Mariners is honestly impossible. What's even crazier is the 5 losses the Mariners have in August have been by a total of 7 runs. That has been the only difference for them. And most of them have either been in extra innings or one of them was even a walk-off squeeze bunt. Could the Mariners be undefeated in August if a few things had just gone their way? Absolutely. Of course, the same could be said if the coin flipped the other way, a few things didn't go their way, and the Mariners could have a much different record. But the hottest team at the start of the year was the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously, they started with a 14-game winning streak to start the season. The Mariners have caught them. Zach tweeted, putting the Mariners' hotness into context, the Rays went 35-15 in their first 50 games of the season. The Mariners in their last 50 have gone 36-14. One of the craziest stories in all of baseball was the Rays' start to the season. Even crazier has been the Mariners' second half surge. And I think what's so interesting, now that I've gotten all these facts out of the way, is that this is the team that I think we knew they always could be. If all these guys could just start hitting. Don't get me wrong, of course Julio's not going to hit 408 the entire year. Obviously, Teoscar Hernandez is not going to be a 300 hitter, probably not anyway. But it's just, this is the kind of team that we thought we would see with the Seattle Mariners at the beginning of this year. Of course, guys faltered. Gino started really slow. Teo and Julio started really slow. Colton Wong was non-existent. But we're starting to see it out of the Seattle Mariners. It took them a little bit longer to get going, and maybe it was the trade deadline, maybe it was Jared Kelenic breaking his foot, maybe it was losing 15-4 or whatever it was to the Rays and getting booed out of their home stadium. But the fact of the matter is, the Mariners are putting together another 90-plus win season. I think if you were to play 500 ball the rest of the way, the Mariners would still win 90 games. And of course, those big games at the end of the season is what it's really going to come down to. The Mariners needed this hot stretch. Everyone always said, the Mariners aren't going to go on a 14-game winning streak, blah, 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 like they did in 2022. They didn't need it. Those last 10 games of the season, of course, being the most important as to what kind of seeding we're going to see for the playoffs. Is it a foregone conclusion the Mariners make the playoffs? No, absolutely not. As of the time of recording this, the Mariners are 4 games up on the Toronto Blue Jays from falling out of the wild card. Mariners go on a 4-game losing streak, Blue Jays go on a 4-game winning streak, and a couple other things happen here and there. The Mariners would fall out of the wild card race, of course, the division, who knows. But we're looking at what we all thought the Seattle Mariners could be in 2023. If you say that you expected this, you're lying. But also, if you say that you expected the Mariners to be as bad as they were at the start of the year, you're lying. In terms of the percentages for making it to the playoffs in 2023, via Fangraphs, Codify says Atlanta, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Baltimore are all at 100%. Tampa Bay at 99%, Milwaukee 97%, Minnesota 95%, God, the Central's terrible. Phillies 93%, and then at 80%, Houston and the Mariners. The Texas Rangers are at 69%, nice, and the Mariners and Houston are both above them. Even the Detroit Tigers have a better chance of making it than the Los Angeles Angels. And nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to play the Mariners in a 5-game series in the postseason because that is how good their rotation is. Facing Castillo and then Kirby and then probably Gilbert in the first 3 games with, of course, Bryce Miller and Brian Wu maybe even looming out of the bullpen, that is a tough task for any teams that we can see in the postseason this year. Is the Mariners offense going to stay this hot the rest of the year? Probably not. But they're banking up the wins that they can now, so that final 10 games of the season can be as epic as humanly possible. The Seattle Mariners broke baseball, and they could do it again if they were to sign Shohei Ohtani. We have that video linked on the screen now. Go ahead and check that one out. Appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.